Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we're going to be talking about this little thing in the center of your main home screen, the Forge. So we're going to talk about everything to do with the Forge, all the sets that are in there, what you want to use in terms of charms for your sets, which sets are actually worth actually crafting, and we'll dive into all those little details in this video. So stay tuned for all that. All right, here we go. I guess we'll go start at the top here and we'll just digest what each set actually does and what they're actually good for. So you see here Swift Parry. Swift Parry gives you the plus 18 speed, plus crit damage, and then the 50% chance to be unkillable. For some people, it's actually their fastest or most powerful set, actually. If you have some pieces of Swift Parry and you don't have very good lethal, cruel, or savage gear, then Swift Parry with the extra crit damage might actually be your best set. They can only be crafted with the use of these core hammers. These things are pretty limited in terms of how often you get them, meaning you have to be extra careful with what you want to craft for Swift Parry. The good thing about Swift Parry is that the gear itself can be used for both damage dealer or a support champion, because the unkillable ability is actually quite nice for like a team reviver like Duchess, for example. Swift Parry has fallen off the meta quite a bit, but it's still used in some rare cases. I still see it once in a while in Live Arena, for example. But you won't be getting a lot of these pieces anyways. I recommend, obviously, for a limited set like this, definitely use your rank and rarity charms. For damage, you probably want to go with crit rate here. And then obviously if you want to use the mythical charm, you can. It's probably okay to use it on Swift Parry. But I would recommend probably saving your mythical charms for even more exclusive item pieces. Here, since you're not going to get too many pieces of this, I would recommend top 3 pieces, because the top 3 are easier to roll more usable substats. If you're going to fish for pieces, fishing for the bottom 3 are actually very difficult. Obviously, on the gauntlet, you just want crit damage. The boots, you mostly want a percentage stat or speed, and same thing with the chest. The gauntlet would be the hardest one to fish for, so I would maybe stay away from those ones and try your luck with the top 3, just so you can guarantee some usable pieces. So yeah. Anyways, moving on with deflection. Deflection uses the same core hammer material, which is super rare, like I said. I don't really craft this very often. There's no real situational use for it right now. So I'm holding off on making these. At the same time, I'm also holding off on Swift Parry. I just don't make this set very often. So both of them still use core hammers, and I just keep the core hammers around just in case, for example, deflection or Swift Parry become useful again. Also, you get Swift Parry and deflection from finishing in platinum. So I do get a steady supply of both these sets from finishing in platinum. So I don't see a need for myself personally to craft these at this moment. So moving on, we got the resilience set. So the material from this set you pick up from Faction Wars. You get resilience and perception pieces. Both of these sets you get lots of every month. And it's going to be a large source of your silver income. Okay, so if you plan on using resilience, I don't really use any kind of glyphs on resilience. I kind of just craft them, and then if any of them are good, then I hold on to them. Since it's plus HP plus defense, it's going to be more of a defensive support type set. So you're looking for similar substats like HP, defense. You're not really looking for damage gear. Of course, if you get like a very high legendary piece or mythical piece with good stats on it, then of course it's usable as an off piece. But usually you just sell these off for extra silver. I did mention in another video to sell these off, the middle and the small pieces off more regularly. However, I should preface by saying you would only sell off the small and middle pieces after the big pieces are all gone, because the big pieces actually require some of the little pieces, the little material to craft. So you don't want to sell off the small and the middle pieces and then run out of some of the material to craft the big pieces. Hopefully that makes sense. And just a small little fix up on my little note from my previous video. So perception is going to be one of those sets that is going to be on a lot of your champions. In terms of what you want to do for this one, I wouldn't use mythical charms unless that's kind of what will give you an upgrade. I mean, most people can still use like legendary quad rolls, for example. So you could definitely justify using rank rarity. Here, you would probably go with speed or accuracy. So either one of those two. Again, you could definitely fish for some bottom row pieces here. Keep in mind that if you're going for bottom row boots, you wouldn't put speed here. And if you're going for bottom row chest, you would not put accuracy here. So keep that in mind, because obviously you want an accuracy chest and you want speed boots. So don't do this. Try to do this instead. And for boots, don't do that. Try to do this instead. Okay? Perception is one of those sets that it's kind of okay to maybe invest rank and rarity charms in as well, since it's going to be one of the most useful sets for anybody's account at this stage in the game. And mythical charms, like I said, it's probably going to be a very end game play to use mythical charms here, because you're looking for better than quad rolls, which is pretty unlikely for most people. So I would stay away from using the mythical charms as of now. Yeah, perception, definitely one of those key sets that everyone needs and needs lots of it. So definitely keep an eye out for this one. Affinity Breaker, very niche use cases. I know like some people are using like Ninja and Affinity Breaker on like off affinity bosses or teams. It's such a rare situational use case right now that I don't recommend crafting it outside of maybe for silver purposes. Otherwise, you can probably hold on to it until maybe one day it becomes more meta. I probably use some of it just for silver or for points in past CVCs, but definitely worth it to hold on to it just in case it might show up in the future to be more useful. Untouchable, it's basically an upgraded immunity set. It's it's basically rendered not so good anymore because of Stone Skin. And to me, like, I did have some Untouchable gear, but after Stone Skin came off, I totally did not use Untouchable anymore. Untouchable can use, since it has plus resistance, you can definitely use resistance or accuracy charms on it. Usually it's on a support champion. However, I have seen like Untouchable damage dealers as well. But yeah, usually this is not going to be a set that you're going to put super high priority in, especially farming the who's this boss? The Scarab boss? No, this is not Scarab boss. This is Scarab boss, right? Yeah, Scarab. Most people don't farm a Scarab anymore, so. Fatal set, you can get some okay mid-range damage gear from Fatal. It's a two-piece set, so it's definitely worthwhile to craft them and see where it goes. For damage sets, you can use like attack percentage, you can use crit rate percentage, you can use crit damage percentage too. Crit damage percentage, usually I would probably use it if you were using type charms. If you had specific type charms that you wanted to go to, it might be worthwhile to use crit damage on this set because it comes with native crit rate, so you're not really looking for crit rate, you're looking for more damage. But I would specify which type I would want to go for. I would probably shoot for the top 3 here, just because on the bottom 3 you might get gloves, and you definitely don't want crit rate gloves. So because you can't, if you put crit damage here, you won't get crit damage as the main, which is what you want for the glove, right? So you wouldn't put, for example, you wouldn't put crit damage like this. You wouldn't want to look for a glove with crit damage as a sub. You want crit damage as the main. So that's something to keep in mind. But overall, it's not going to be a heavily farmed set anyway, so you won't have too many pieces of it. Frostbite. Frostbite's actually a pretty cool set. It's a 2-piece set. Gives you a small chance to basically CC your enemy. I think it does have some niche use cases in like Arena, for example. Definitely can be surprising if you put like a 2-piece set on like a damage dealer. That could be very surprising. These things don't really require accuracy. They do get a little boost from Fearsome Presence. So if you have a champion that runs Fearsome Presence, maybe in a stun set, you can pair a stun set with the Frostbite set. That'd be pretty nasty, to be honest. It's similar to how like Torment works, where Torment like gets so much benefit from Fearsome Presence in a CC build. But yeah, Frostbite, it does have some uses. I do farm Frostbite mainly because the Frost Spider Doom Tower month rotation, there's not really much good in that rotation, so I just farm the Frostbiter because it will give me the most materials and it's Frostbite. So otherwise, I'm just holding on to it for now. I don't really have too much use cases for it. I would imagine speed would be very good. Accuracy would probably be pretty good on it as well. And in this case, since it's a 2-piece bonus, I wouldn't worry too much about searching for a specific type of gear piece. And since it's only a 1 month rotation type of gear, you definitely worthwhile to put rank and rarity if you guys want to go hard on these Frostbite pieces. So Bloodthirst comes from the Eternal Dragon. I don't have much of these. It's basically just an upgraded lifesteal set. Lifesteal doesn't get used very often, and therefore Bloodthirst does not get used very often as well. It gives you increased crit rate, so it's probably designed as a damage dealing or a damage dealer set, but it just doesn't get used that often. So Guardian set, it's kind of like a watered down regen set. It has a small ally protection to your whole team. It heals you up for a little bit less than regen. So if you're low on regen, you can definitely craft some Guardian gear to give your give your other supports some more regen like gear. So for this one, since it's pretty limited, you could go rank and rarity, and then definitely HP percent would come in here, but you probably want to go HP percent on the top 3, so weapon, helmet, shield. The bottom 3, you want HP percentage main stat gloves, main stat chest, and even main stat boots. So you want to leave the HP percentage off if you're shooting for the bottom 3. Speed is going to be very important as well. You might even consider accuracy on this. But yeah, generally Guardian gear is a pretty good set overall. You could consider actually defense percentage as well, just for some more defensive stats on support champions. I don't use too much of Guardian, but I do find myself using it once in a while just to gear up certain champions if I'm low on regen. Like I have maybe 10 champions geared up in regen gear, and maybe 3 or 4 geared up in Guardian gear. So it does help take some pressure off your regen sets if you don't have as much of that. So that's a good thing for Guardian for sure. Moving on, so Fortitude, this is Bomo. Plus resistance, plus defense for a 2-piece. You're not going to have too much of these because I don't find too many people farming Bomo anymore. Resistance just isn't too much of a thing, even in arena. So for this, it's going to be resistance on all pieces except for the chest. So if you're going to go for chest, you're going to want to leave the resistance off of the forge here. But otherwise, you're going to be using the rank and rarity, of course. But mostly you wouldn't be crafting this set too often. The lethal set, this is one of the biggest sets in the Forge. This is the set that probably gives you the best damage gear on your account eventually, once you get your Dark Fae farm going on. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, because this is the Dark Fae month. So make sure you guys have a good, solid farm team for Dark Fae. This is better than farming 3x Savage every week, for example. This is the Dark Fae month. Make sure you guys get everything going for a smooth farm. You're looking at about 250 crafts per month. So 250 crafts of lethal gear. Can you imagine how many pieces of Savage gear you would have to farm basically to get of similar quality and quantity? How much energy would you have to spend to farm 250 Savage pieces? So farming the Dark Fae is a huge must for anybody that's wanting to build up a good stash of good damage gear. The best use case for this, since it's a 1 month only farm, is probably going to be something like this. So usually what I would do is I would do something like this. I would go all in on the gloves, since the glove is the most important, damage piece on the bottom. You want this, and then you want the honed in crit rate as the sub. So that means you won't roll the crit rate on the main, and then you have a better chance of rolling the crit damage on the main for the glove. Once I run out of this, you could run out of gloves first, in which case you could use crit rate for all pieces. That's very good. Or you could use crit damage for all pieces. The problem with crit damage is that it takes, if it's on the sub, that means it can't be on the main. That means any glove you roll in this kind of situation, the glove will have a non-crit damage main stat, which is not ideal, of course. The other stat you could actually use is speed. I find that my damage gear must have speed on them nowadays, especially for live arena. You want your nukers to be quite quick. So having a speed substat definitely helps. And then that's about it. You definitely want to have some of these. You could select type charms if you are specific, if you're really looking for a specific piece. I would recommend going for, if you're just starting out with lethal gear farming, I would recommend going for the top 3 pieces. Because it's a 4-piece set, it's hard to get 4 usable pieces. You want at least a good base of usable pieces. So maybe focus on the top 3 because they're easier to roll. So I would suggest something like that. It gives you at least a good base to start with before you start fine tuning and looking for specific pieces, for example. All right. So Instinct's one of those Forge Pass sets. I don't have much Instinct. I've never forged Instinct before. It's a kind of a watered down Savage set with the speed boost. It's a good set, nothing wrong with it. But same kind of idea, I would use rank and rarity because it's a limited Forge Pass set. I would use rank and rarity and mythical. And then because it's a damage set, I would probably focus on crit damage or crit rate. And then since it's a limited set, again, I would probably look for the top 3 pieces just to make sure I have a usable set instead of random pieces floating around. Bolster set. So if you guys didn't know, you guys can get 6-star legendary pieces of bolster if you guys finish the Forge Pass free to play. So I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I have bolster set? Basically, when you finish the Forge Pass with the free version, you have access to 75 material, which gives you 15 free crafts at 5 or 6-star crafts. So because I have bolster gear, it doesn't mean that I paid for the Forge Pass. It just means I finished the Forge Pass, the free version of it. Okay, so, and of course, if you paid for a Forge Pass, you get way more forge material, so you can craft way more. For this one, obviously, since it's a limited set, you're definitely going to use your best charms on it. And here, I would like speed for sure. And then, because like I said, it's a 4-piece set, you would want to have a good base of your top 3 upper row items before starting to shoot for your bottom row. For this one, you really want HP percentage on all your gear, but you really want it on the top 3 pieces if you have to select them. For the bottom ones, you don't want the HP percentage there. You actually want to put something else, maybe speed or defense, and then hope that your chest rolls HP percentage main stat. For these exclusive limited sets, I do recommend saving your ores to try to get another chance at rolling your item again to get something usable from them. As long as the main stat is workable, you can ascend them with powder and dust from the Sand Devil and Shogun to get the desired ascension on them so that you have a nice endgame piece that you can use for a long time. Defiant, I don't really use this set too often. It's a good set. It's like a stalwart set with a little bit extra on it, but it's a fine set. Similarity, I would use all the rank and rarity and mythical charms. And then for this one, I would still look for similar to bolster strategy, HP or defense, speed, and then look for a good supporting HP rolls, supporting defensive rolls as well. So moving on, Righteous set. This one's also very limited due to the Forge Pass. It's essentially a speed set. So here I would basically craft it like a exclusive speed set. So I would look for speed on all pieces, and that's about it. In terms of this, since it's a 2-piece set, I'll just let it roll. The problem is you don't want the boots with speed, so maybe it's better to hone in on a specific type of gear, but you want speed on all your righteous pieces for sure. That would be ideal. Okay, finally we have the Ratho set. You see here I finished the forge. I have 15 of these. That's all I get as a free-to-play player without buying the forge pass. Limited time set, but this is what I would do: use my best charms. And since it's a damage set, I'd use the same strategy as I would with the lethal set, for example. Crit damage, crit rate on all pieces, especially if you can, if you're choosing your top 3. If you're choosing your top 3, go with the crit rate or crit damage. If you're choosing gloves exclusively, definitely go for crit rate and hope for crit damage on the main. You can also use things like attack percentage. Similarly, attack percentage can work with the work against you for the bottom 3 rows, because you can have attack percentage chest, you can have attack percentage of boots. Those are ideal, so you don't want attack percentage here, for example. But yeah, definitely crit rate and crit damage are very important. Just a quick bounce around into your clan shop. So whenever you see crit rate or speed or accuracy or really nice charms, definitely pick them up in your clan shop. It depends on how much clan gold you have, but it's definitely worthwhile to have a stockpile of them. You never know when you're going to get them, but you need lots of them, especially when it comes time to crafting. Also, another quick note is, if you're doing any crafting, try to save it for CBC. Crafting gives a good amount of points towards CBC. Definitely helps you guys meet your thresholds and helps you guys hit certain milestones if you guys need those extra points. All right, guys, there you have it. That's all for the video today. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully it was informative for some of you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you guys have any tips for me, I would love to hear them, of course. And yeah, appreciate you all. Thanks for your time, and best of luck crafting your gear. So take care. I'll see you guys in the next one.